On episode 167 of the Peak Performance Leadership Podcast, we speak to lean expert Michael Saunders, and he's going to teach you how focusing on your company's product will achieve peak performance in your organization and teams. It's all about being lean and all about the product today, folks. Are you ready for this? All right, let's do it. Welcome one, welcome all to the Peak Performance Leadership Podcast, a weekly podcast series dedicated to helping you hit peak performance across the three domains of leadership. Those being leading yourself, leading your team, and leading your organization. This podcast couples my 20 years of military experience as a senior Canadian Army officer with world-class guests to bring you the most complete podcast of leadership going. And for more, feel free to check out our website at movingforwardleadership.com. And with that, let's get to the show. Yes, it is your Chief Leadership Officer, Scott McCarthy, and thanks for coming out, one and all. Whether you're a new listener or you've been listening to the show for, the 5.5 years this has been going on. It's great to have you here. And today we're going to be talking about lean organizations. And I got a little, confession to make. I wasn't sure one bit about this pitch, but there was something there that said, hey, give it a chance and see what this Michael guy has to say and has to offer. So that's what I did. I gave it a chance. And I will tell you that I was beyond surprised by the quality of responses and just the overall message that he brought. Now, I had a look through his book before taking this interview, obviously, and that book is Quantum Lean, taking lean systems to the next level. And I will tell you that Michael brought his message, and it is next level. So, who is Michael anyway? He is the co-author of Quantum Lean. He's worked in every phase of the supply chain, including as CEO and president of a food, energy, distribution, and high-tech firms. He's the co-founder of a non-profit organization called Beehive Fun, which assists companies with production, scheduling, inventory control, and developing quality management systems. This guy is sought after because he has a boatload of experience in negotiation, organizational psychology, Six Sigma, quality systems, and regulatory compliance. And he's super well spoken. That's probably one of the cool things that really popped out at me. And just the insights that he had in this interview and the ability to take this really, really managerial topic, right? We're talking about leading your organization really here. But he's able to take these messages and turn them into the message that us as leaders need to hear. And on top of that, take it and then give us the message that us as leaders, we need to be pushing out there to our people when we adapt and adopt these types of speaking points. I mean, I was blown away with this interview, and I know you are going to be too. So this is what today's show is all about, folks. It's all about leaning out, being focused in on the product. And we talk about topics such as how quantum lean can be found in leading yourself and leading your team. We talk about differences between quality and luxury, effectiveness and efficiency, the importance of delegation in a quantum lean setting, and so much more. So anyway, I think that's enough for me. So why don't you sit back, relax, and enjoy my conversation with Michael Saunders, all about how you can lead a quantum lean organization. Hey, Michael, welcome to the Peak Performance Leadership Podcast. So great to have you here today.
Thank you for having me. Good morning to you.
So what I'd like to get out of you first thing, let's throw the heavy bag first. Let's go. You were here discussing predominantly your book, Quantum Lean, taking lean systems to the next level. Now, how is that going to help the leaders out there listening or watching this podcast hit peak performance for their organizations? Let's go straight for the goods.
Yes. The book is a kind of a instructional type reading. And we put that together, my co-author, Sean Fields, and I, over many, many years of practical implementation of lean systems. We also, from our background, we call it organizational optimization anyway. But we tested out for over 15 years to make sure that some of the techniques or tools that are introduced with lean systems are actually working well. Some of them are not working. So it triggered the question, why is this not working? And we came up with a lot of test grounds in different industries. And finally, we said, okay, let's go ahead and write this book. It has some nice instructional way of leading the reader towards using this book as a guideline to implement any type of improvement in their organization. So leaders can actually take this and use many chapters of it in expediting and expecting much, much higher returns in their improvement activities. So from that point, I believe it also makes it much easier for the leadership to understand the layout and how lean system truly applies in their environment. And it gives them much better opportunity to quickly expect results.
Now, here at the podcast, I talk about my 3 domains of leadership, those being leading yourself, leading your team, and leading your organization. We're talking about lean and your viewpoint of it in quantum lean. So more about leading your organization. But I'm definitely interested to find out, are there any other aspects of those 3 domains that stick out to you that you and your co-author written about in your book, and how do we go about applying those in this type of situation scenario?
Yes, we view the organization or organizational system as a system of inputs and outputs, and the tools or techniques that you use to convert the inputs to outputs. So when we talk about inputs, there are a variety of different inputs in every organization. Granted, each organization is different from one another, but at their core, from a structural standpoint, all organizations are the same, meaning they use set of resources and convert them to set of end results or products. So you talk about if it is manufacturing setting, you have raw materials, you have energy, you have people as resources, you have facilities and so on. And all manufacturers use the same exact structure. The conversion process, meaning how do they take these resources and how well they utilize them in a quick fashion, determines whether the end result is going to be sustaining and bring in values and ultimately profits to the organization to be able to keep the cycle continuing or not. Now, in our book, we focus on one important element of this organizational system, and we always have tested this and have proven this to be true. The end result, the goal, the consequence of all of these activities, putting all of these resources in harmony to come together to create something which we call product, is the main purpose of our book as well. So Product comes in two forms, obviously, in the form of goods or services. If it's a service organization, obviously you're talking about service being the product. If it's manufacturing, mainly you're talking about goods. Some manufacturers offer both services and goods as their finished products. So the end result is what we focus on, because we believe end result being most effective and most efficient to reach to the hands of the user is the ultimate goal of every organization. So when you focus on that type of a simplicity and look at the structure of the organization to be simply putting this product in a process of, from the moment you receive the order, we call it inception, or in the industry they talk about PO is issued by the customer, until the product reaches customers' hands. In that entire process, we look at product and its journey. We focus on that when it changes its shape and form until it reaches its final form and shape. And if you really walk through with that, you realize that, yes, this is the heart of lean system as well. The idea is to fulfill that order or customer needs through that product as fast as possible, as high quality as possible. If you can achieve those, then obviously, and we have proven this again in the book, we have many, many examples. If you are able to produce high quality and fast, the cost is the minimal you can ever get. And this goes against our upbringing in our society, particularly in Western countries. We are brought up in a way that you cannot have all three. If you want to have a fast and a quick delivery of what you're asking for, you better pay higher price because it's going to cost you more. Or if you want high quality, really, really reliable product, you better pay high price because it's going to cost you more. Never before we have been told that you can have all three of them: high quality product, fast delivery to you in lower price. And that is the essence of this book. We are easily proven that's possible, much, much easier to achieve than what we were told. So in a whole context of how to view quantum lean's message to a leadership type process, we are looking into, look at the end result, make sure that you're focused on that product and its journey from the moment the order is received until it is delivered to the customer. Focus on that. That way, everything else becomes easier to manage, easier to lead. Yes, leading people are important. We have been facing a lot of different philosophies in leading people. Many of them talk about lead by example. Many of them talk about variety of different techniques that you can actually motivate people to follow you. We are not against them. We understand that. But there are certain questions when it comes to organizational settings that are really valid. For instance, when we talk about people, if you ask all the leaders today of manufacturing or even service industry and ask them, what are your most important assets in your organization? Most CEOs and leaders and even leadership team are going to say, our most important assets are people. People are the most important assets that we have deployed, we have selected, we have hired. Okay, I understand that. But when it comes down to slightly hard times in the market, which asset hits the curb first? People again. People are immediately fired. Now, what happened to the most important asset? We will preach it. So, and then lead them by example. That's another pet peeve of mine. If you're leading by example, instead of firing people, why don't you reduce your salary for 2 years and take $1 a year, and instead of firing them, get your bonuses and salaries to them? We have a lot of disparity among top management's salaries and incentives versus majority of the folks who are really making that organization work. You're looking into sometimes 70 times, sometimes 3,000 times difference in income level. And when it comes to slight, I'm talking slight stress in the market, thousands of people get hit the curb with no jobs, and salaries and bonuses of the top management stay in the same. And in fact, sometimes they increase because they are able to reduce the cost by firing people. Therefore, they get more bonuses. Yeah, is that leading by example? Obviously not. So to bring all of these in perspective and have a healthy society, very, very strong economy in communities and overall in the society, you really look into a better perspective, better view of ensuring that all constituents of organization, which means inputs or resources, in this case, of course, human resources as well, then the process of converting them to finished products, all of them are going to be weighed out equally and properly. The most important thing, like we said, is the end result. If the end result is going to achieve high quality, fast completion, it is going to be low cost. That is the key. Once it is low cost, all leaders will love it because their profit margins are high now. They're going to be consistently being in the market because they're providing something that users or buyers are going to love it. In a long term, this is going to be extremely beneficial for them. So the idea of market being stressed out or anything like that is not going to really phase them. And this whole lean concept, as you know, historically comes from the work of industrial engineering type approach to organizational improvement. And for many decades, over a century now, Henry Ford, his process of production systems, and of course Taiichi Ono with his three major and historic trips to the United States, meeting with Ford in Plant Rouge facility, learned as much as possible and went back and add his flavor to it and came up with Toyota Production System. Later on, of course, that system was referred to as Lean Manufacturing System by Womack and Jones in their 80s classic book called The Machine That Changed the World. And that's where the terminology Lean Manufacturing System comes from, which later on spread out to all types of organizations. And now we are in the midst of that. Looking at that, you realize that, yes, the idea of product being high quality and fast at the hands of the users has always been the focus of Lean. Now, most importantly, societies have different cultures and different, of course, characteristics. In Japan, the quality of the product is the highest and most important characteristic of any organization to try to achieve. And thanks to Deming, who really guided that country's industry to go towards quality. And now, obviously, for many, many decades, they've captured the manufacturing leadership in the world. That quality becomes very, very critical. The quality of the product has a direct relationship with the cost to the society, meaning if the quality of the product is poor, the society suffers by paying that cost. Now, you and I, through our taxes, suffer. So I can give you a very quick example. Let's say you go to Walmart or any box store and you buy a widget and you pay $10 for it. You come home and you try to use it, and something doesn't work well. The quality is not there. And what do? Today, you go back to Walmart, immediately return it. And once you return it, and they don't ask questions most of the time, and you say, oh, I'm happy, I got my money back, no problem. You're very happy with it. But take a look at the deep dive in this scenario. The product cost you something. Let's say you paid $10 and you got your $10 back. The time that it took for you to go ahead and retrieve that, the time that you wasted, obviously went out of your pocket. And if you really multiply this, there is a thing called productivity of the society. The whole societal productivity in aggregate starts suffering. And let's have a small caveat to it. On the way returning back that product to Walmart, suddenly you had a slight fender bender. Now what? That happens. Now you're going to be dealing with a lot of different chaotic situations, and from insurances, from dealing with another person and costing them their time. And all of these situations happen because of the fact that product that you paid for and expected to do the job did not do the job. It had a poor quality. So in a grand level, if you take this to larger and more complex products like automobiles and whatnot, you can realize and appreciate how important the quality is, because every slight bad quality in product is going to cause a lot of problems and lots of costs to the society. And therefore, you want to make sure that your organization focuses on delivering high quality product. And the other side of the coin for high quality product is, if you have a product that has highest quality, meaning it's going to perform as it's intended, to its best way to perform the function, your cost of producing that is absolutely minimal. The reason for that is that you don't go back to try to rework, to try to correct some of the mistakes on the product to send it out. You don't deal with the cost of consequential repairs or returns from the customer. All of these costs are not being experienced. Therefore, you really actually have low cost in producing it. And that, as a result, becomes faster. If you are able to produce the product in the first place without repeating or reworking certain functions or certain steps of that production system, therefore, you're going to be faster. If you repeat a step 2-3 times just because in the first place it was wrong and you're trying to correct it, it adds to the time. Therefore, the time gets really, really larger and larger. But the bottom line is, higher quality becomes faster to produce, of course, cheaper to produce. The enjoyment goes to the end user. Now you can offer a really high quality product to the consumers or to the end users and customers with much, much faster way. At the same time, expect that last longer, so they enjoy using it. They come back and buy more and more. I hope this long answer, I went around it, gives you a little bit better perspective of how we are looking into the organization and how leaders can actually take some notes off of that.
The top is the loneliest place. Colin Powell said that once. But it doesn't have to be. Instead, you can find people to talk to, people to run ideas by, people to help you figure out solutions to the problems that you're facing right now as a leader. And see, I felt lonely once, and I decided to start the podcast. And with the podcast, I decided that I needed to help people like you more. So that's why I started the Pivot for Leadership Facebook group. Leadership skills for managers to be leaders, not bosses. You can find it at movingforleadership.com/group. And come join us. It's completely free for you to join us and talk leadership with us day in, day out. So check us out again at movingforleadership.com/group. Now back to the show. It was, wow. Where to start? You dropped so many nuggets in there. I think I need to quickly unpack it there for the audience. But one thing I really liked that I don't know if it was the middle or middle beginning of your whole, spiel there, but don't get me wrong, it was a lot of great things in there. I liked what you talked about, how the leadership out there say, "Oh, our people are our number one resource." Then exactly as you said, time gets to get hard, and suddenly, let's chop the manning power, right?
Yeah.
The books. So we got to cut the number of people we have. So let's start, as they say, either finding efficiencies. Plainly saying downsizing. And I fully agree with you. I was talking to a CEO of a printing firm up here in Canada, having a great conversation with a gentleman, amazing leader. And he was telling me about when the 2008 crash happened, how he kept everybody on. And he managed to weather that storm. There were some days when they showed up to work and they had absolutely nothing to do. But he said, "We will get through this." And he kept every single person on. Now, I didn't ask how he managed to do that, but I can guarantee you he probably didn't fill his bank account with a bonus or anything. That's for sure. And he managed to keep everyone on. And exactly right. But I'd like to, I want to unpack all the great, I guess, like business stuff that you talked about, i.e. making higher quality products and doing it in efficiency, but turning that into a leadership perspective. So when you think about it, right, and everything you said is true. You, as a, for the manufacturers out there, or even myself, I want to make the best product possible as a leadership podcast or a leadership coach. So, that whole process, how can I make that the best I can make it? Right. And I'm doing some of these things in the background now that's making it more efficient, making it more effective, brand new webcam that is like 4K and all this stuff, that's making a higher quality product. So what? So what is I'm going to, bring in more people to listen to me because the quality of the content is getting higher. I'm reaching more people, bringing more people, listeners in. I am therefore expanding my team. I've actually expanded the team now. I'm empowering them to do their job so I can focus on the end product. The reputation of my business is going up. Why? Because I've looked at it from a very similar approach that you talked about and that whole spiel that you went on of making the best product possible, the most efficient to get to the end user. So you can do that in any context for sure. And that affects your team because now you're bringing more people in, you're retaining people, you're giving them bonuses because your profit margins are going up, you're giving them better training, you're giving them better equipment, you're expanding all these great things. Your organization, same type of thing. Profits are up. Your brand awareness is up. Your brand loyalty up, etc. I can keep going and going. So yes, this is in fact a leadership thing for people to be wary about. And that often when I say talk about lean and agile and all this on the podcast, people go, that's not leadership. I go, BS, it is leadership. And I'll tell you why in 5 minutes.
Correct.
Right. So with that, my next question being, I'm a huge fan of delegation. I love delegation from a leadership standpoint. Can you talk about delegation in the quantum lean setting and how leaders can, really apply that to make it more effective, make it more efficient, drive your product better?
Yes, absolutely. And I tell you, you are obviously growing and you are having high quality product of your own. I have to go back very slightly, touch on a couple of terms, and then I'll come back directly answer your question. First of all, we do understand what quality is. I just don't want to make sure that people don't have misunderstanding of quality versus luxury. There's always been that issue with people. Even when I was a professor, I was teaching to my students many years back. They would have problems. So I would give them a very simple example here and there. I would say, okay, you have, this is about 15 years ago. I would say you have two cars. You have a Chevy Malibu and you have a Cadillac, similar size. And which one is high quality? 99% of the folks I ever asked, they say Cadillac. Immediately raise hands. And I say, okay. Now let's say we have a car that has quite a bit of nice gadgetries and wood working and beautiful, chrome and things like that on it. Does it really add to its function? If you go head to head, what the car is supposed to do, what it is built for, what's the use of that? Chevy Malibu is not only higher quality than the Cadillac, but also lasts longer. The idea is to get away from misunderstanding of luxury. You can gold plate anything you want. You can gold plate a hammer with the head being really, really nice and gold and the arm gold and all that. And you can have a very ugly looking hammer. That ugly looking hammer perhaps will last 10 times longer than the gold plated hammer when you're trying to hammer a hard steel. So luxury is not quality. That's one thing I want to make sure our audience understand. The other thing is,
as a car guy, I really enjoyed that example, by the way.
I mean, think about it. You have really unknown.
True.
Yes, a lot of cars that are unknown for their look or luxurious settings and sceneries perform beautifully. They're fantastic. You depend on them. You rely on them every day. So the other couple of terminologies I wanted to make sure that we have it all, our audience understand, are the idea of quality and productivity. We often talk about effectiveness of the organization or something we do, or efficiency of the organization or something we do. So let's have a correlated references here, because they do definitely feed one another. Quality addresses the effectiveness and answers the question of how well will something or can something function or exist. Efficiency addresses the productivity, or productivity equally addresses the efficiencies of that entity. How fast? This is the question that you answer. How fast, how quick that particular entity reach its intended goal. So when we talk about productivity and efficiency together, I want to make sure everybody understands when we talk about effectiveness, quality and effectiveness, they're all the same. So having said that, getting back to our view in quantum lean, and knowing that, yes, the entire idea of looking into high quality, looking into how can I make my organization truly have a better product, more competitive and higher quality products, so I can shine and move forward, has always been the goal of many leaders. Now, we have a very simple way of addressing these situations, these issues. We try to be simple. We believe simplicity can cause and result in better quality. Complexity is always going to create much more questionable environment or questionable steps. Therefore, the quality can be difficult to achieve. The simpler you are, the better you are. And if you take that view to organization, you realize that more successful leaders are those who truly understand their products. If they are at the level of the understanding of the product, they always lead better. Kenneth Iverson was one of the great leaders that led Nucor for many decades. He was fantastic. He was the darling of Wall Street at the same time. He ran his organization with a trailer. Not massive, beautifully looking 40-story buildings. His whole fantastic large organization was run with a trailer home. Why? Because he wanted to be at the core and understanding of his products. He wanted to be closer to it. Now, we see more and more leadership focusing on dollar. We see them focusing on money. They take away their sight. Unfortunately, they start with a product, some of them very quickly, some of them after a while, let go of that sight, they go to the dollar. They become dollar obsessed as opposed to product obsessed. This is the fundamental problem with the leadership. When you are dollar obsessed, product becomes secondary. When you are product obsessed, this is funny, dollar becomes primary. How is that happening? Because dollar is generated, or money is the consequence or result of having a good product. If you don't have product, you have nothing. Product is the sole entity that causes all the constituents of any organization to come together. Without that product, you have no need for selling, you have no need for producing, you have no need for thinking about dollars. Product has to happen. The old rule, the number one rule for selling something is to have that something. If you don't have something, how can you sell? That means you have to have the product before you can even think about selling it. Now, if you focus on the product, you are going to have a fantastic and easier way of leading your people as well. Now, in organizations, a lot of layers, build up until the leadership. The larger the organization, usually the more layers you have. Yes, in literature, we talk about vertical, we talk about flat organization, tall organizations. It really doesn't matter. It's the idea of top leadership having quick and fast connection to the product and what's happening to it in its journey throughout the organization. If you as a leader are divorced from it, or you're far off from it, you don't know what's happening to it, then you're going to have really unsuccessful organization in the long run, because you're going to end up laying off your people and that hard times comes because you don't understand what's going on with your product. The closer you are to the product's process of being built and completed, the better you're going to have decisions to make. And the reason for that is, when we are away from what's happening to the product until it's being built, we get all kinds of different scenarios to think about. The leadership now has complex issues to address. And one of them is, I want to be profitable. I want to be profitable. I want to be profitable. So the view changes from the source of profit, which is the product, to pure profit, which has no basis. And I usually say, when the large organizations lose edge, they start selling stocks, not their products. So take GM, General Motors, one of the most successful organizations in the world, historically speaking, comes to its knees and files bankruptcy in 2008 fiasco. Why? In my view, when I look at it, they stopped selling their cars long ago. They started focusing on selling stocks. The only thing, most important issue in the whole organization was, how can I make my stock be 5 cents or 2% higher this month versus next month? How can I do this in any way, trickeries that I can come up together and put tricks and anything I can, whether it's by advertising or by any other ways, to make my stock have better or higher price, not only get my incentives and my bonuses, but also prove to my shareholders that, you know what, you're getting good return from your investment. How long did that last? And every time you turned around, there was a lot of issues with GM. Finally, they go file bankruptcy, and all those pensions and all those investments that were in place, people lost. The idea is not focusing on the dollar. The idea is focusing on the product. If you focus on the product, dollar is going to follow regardless. Dollar will always be there. The money will come through, and you will absolutely have a great successful process of growing your company and taking your goals and your objectives, as it's also in the literature referred to, your North Star, higher and higher and higher. And the higher the level of North Star is, or the higher the level of your ultimate goal for the organization is, the more success you're going to have in every step. I think in the case of service, since you're delivering service, in the case of service, the same thing happens. The ultimate result is the end result. Yours is in the form of service. What do you want? You want to have a result after any interview that's going to attract people, and more and more and more in any settings, those people are going to enjoy and understand that what you broadcast is really beneficial to them in many settings. Our book and the method we talk about is applicable in personal relationships. You can have very simple way of looking at your personal relationships and say, okay, the quality of my relationship is dependent upon how well I pay attention to the process of making that relationship. And you can take that to all very, very complex organizations. The quality of my products are coming out of Siemens corporations or GE, the very complex organization, is utmost important. If that's the case, then your success by capturing more market, by growing in the market, by getting more revenue coming in, and then having higher margin is definitely going to increase. I hope I was able to answer your comment and question on this.
Are you a baseball fan by chance?
I love watching it for sure, especially the World Series. Absolutely.
That's a home run. That's a home run answer.
Thank you.
That's a home. It's so interesting. The best, when I ask these, tough questions, right? It's probably not a question that you normally get when you think of it, that when you're talking about lean, but you make it, when you answer it, you do it from the business context, but you wrap it up with answering directly to question. And it's fantastic. I love it. So thank you very much, Michael. This has been fantastic interview. And to be blatantly honest, I was humming and hawing over this. I'm like, well, let's see how this goes, because I've had some people who are in these type of spaces, i.e., lean, agile, Five Sigma, all these spaces, and did interviews with them.
Mhm.
And honestly, they were junk, and I ended up tossing them because they just focus purely on the system approach
Yes.
by bringing the human domain into it. But you have done both, so well done, sir. I am honestly, I am absolutely pleased, honored to have you on this show. This has
I
been,
appreciate that. I
yeah,
appreciate it. I want to interject something. And I mean, I talk
shoot,
about, and you're absolutely right, organizational system. You don't want to be dry like that because people live lives every day. If you're not able to connect to their daily work and daily lives, you can be a genius, still don't go that far. I applaud you in a way of questions that you ask, because to me, if you take that and parallel or align it with the organizational setting, that's the inputs, right? That's the resources. The
right.
resources and the inputs, if they are high quality, in this case, if your questions are high quality, it's going to attract people. And I applaud you on that. That's wonderful. So continuing with the book, I also like to add a couple of quick notes on that. And I think it is a simple way of really viewing this, and it hopefully helps people. We talk about a simple process where the product is started and converted to end finished, let's say, shape and fit and form as the customer intended. All organizations want to do this. None of them say we are going to have a bad product to sell to people. At the same time, no individual employee that, in my experience, I've seen, I've touched, I've worked with, I've had the chance to learn from them in every setting, ever comes to work in any company in the morning to get up, say, okay, honey, I'm going to go to work today. And my purpose is today to go ahead and make a crappy product. My purpose is today to go ahead and really, really cause problem in my organization, with my friends, with my people, just become the sore thumb. Nobody does that. People go to have an honest work to do a good job. So when it comes down to leadership, we really, really need to be very aware of the fact that people are there to do a great job. And people yearn to show that. They want to show that they are capable of doing jobs. So getting back to your comment of delegation, as a good leader, it is your responsibility to find activities to delegate to your subordinates, to people, because they thrive on it. They want to show that they can do better. And if they don't have uh, things to do, if they're just stuck in the same thing over and over and over and over, they are kind of pulled aside, and they don't really know what the purpose is and how the goals change, how the objectives become more exciting every day in a top level, and they are not being shared. Guess what? They're not going to have fun. They're going to go through stress. Therefore, the consequence is going to be whole company is going to have less quality product. The attention to the product is going to suffer, you see? So from even that angle, it is the responsibility of the leaders to come up with a fantastic way of delegating additional and more expected higher turn and higher quality results from their subordinates by giving them the opportunity to do so. People are smart. I have explained this many, many times over. You don't put people in the dark and say that, you know what, those employees of mine don't understand how good is. You know what? They understand how good is. They understand how better is. They understand how fantastic is. You just have to give them the opportunity to prove. If you are not giving them and delegating really good issues or steps or functions to them, you can't expect them to perform. You have to take this step first. It's a two-way street. So leadership is a way of pulling people towards satisfying their desired achievements. That's my definition. If you don't know what their desired achievement is, if you don't understand your people and you don't understand how they can truly express good work, you're a bad leader. Let's face it. You can make all the dollars you want for temporary, maybe a year, maybe 2 years, but after that, you're going to go downhill. So, indeed, delegation is critical. I'm with you on that.
If this microphone didn't cost so much money, I'd take it down and not even drop it, but throw it down, because that was Wait, okay, what a way to wrap this show up. Like, I just feel like we should stop recording, period. But no, we'll wrap up properly because this has been a fantastic conversation. And I think we're at the point now where I want to keep your message powerful and strong. And this is just like perfect time to wrap this thing up. But before we do wrap up, I got a couple last questions for you. The first being a question I ask all the guests here at Moving Forward Leadership. And that is, according to you, Michael Sanders, what makes a great leader?
Well, to me, attention, focus to the end result, meaning the product, by allowing your people have a direct role in that high quality product. That is the sign of great leadership in my book.
Awesome. Absolutely love it. Like everything today. Finally, how can people find you? How can they follow you? Where can they grab the book? It's all about you now. Shameless plugs are allowed. Have at it.
Oh, certainly. The book is easily searchable and obtained by Amazon.com, obviously. You can also go to our website. I work for a nonprofit corporation called Beehive Fund. And the easy way to access that is www.beehivefund.org or BEEHIVEFUND.org. And if you go there on the first page, you can see the book, you can click on it, and you're able to buy that. We are nonprofit. You can reach out to us. We don't bite. We don't charge you. If you have any questions up front, if you have any guidance you'd seek, if you like to know certain things, we are happy to help you. You can call us at 800 number, 800-789-3834. We are more than delighted to talk to you, to guide you, and to even help you if necessary. Again, beehivefund.org.
Awesome. And for the listeners, always, it's just in the show notes. Just head to the show notes for this episode and check them out. Michael, again, it's been an honor, sir. It's been a pleasure to have you on the show. It's been fantastic. Absolutely enjoyed it. So thank you for coming out and talking to me, but most importantly, the audience out there.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate what you're doing. This is fantastic.
All right. And stop. Beautiful. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. I enjoyed it very much. I meant what I said. Your questions are right on the dot. That's beautiful.
Been doing this gig for over 5 years now, so I hope I do okay in that regard.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So let me just bring up the calendar. So another reason why I put this live is because I'm well ahead in recording right now. So this actually will go live not until the 12th of May. So
12th of May, great. I wrote it here. Excellent.
2 months, sorry. But what I'll do is the day it goes live, I will fire up with an email with the links, the cover art and all that stuff for you. And you can feel free to share it as you please. So
I will. I'll put on my network, and we have our Beehive network, and it'll be, you're going to be pleased with the level of the audience that we can pull in. Yeah, you like that. Yeah.
Awesome. Excellent. And if there's anything I can do to help you in the future, please don't be shy to reach out.
Absolutely. Where in Canada are you located?
Kingston, Ontario. So it's
yeah.
Okay,
I have my sisters one lives in Ottawa, the other one in, of course, Quebec side.
Okay.
And every 2 years we come and visit. Obviously, last year we couldn't go. I've been in Kingston. Oh, Kingston's beautiful. That fort is just so gorgeous. I love that place.
Yeah, I've been here 7 years now, and nice. This will be our final home per se. I don't think it came up actually in our interview. So by day, except for today, but by day, my day job is actually Canadian Army. So I'm a senior Canadian Army.
Oh yeah. I saw you on in your profile. I saw you on that. And
so I've been
thanks to you and people like you who really keep us safe. I really appreciate you.
Yep. So been stationed here since 2014. So 2 more years it looks like I'll be here for, and then I'll probably move again. But have done quite well, and we've decided this is where we're going to, once we retire,
Yeah,
my wife and I, we will, this is where we're going to live.
it's a beautiful place for sure. Excellent.
Yeah.
But nice
So-
meeting you in person. Thank you very much again.
Thank you, sir.
And I meant what I said. As a nonprofit, if we can do anything for you, please do not hesitate to reach out to us.
Sounds
We're more
great.
than delighted to help.
Sounds great. And that's a wrap for this episode, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting the Peak Performance Leadership Podcast. But you know what you could do to truly support the podcast? And no, that's not leaving a rating and review. It's simply helping a friend. And that is helping a friend by sharing this episode with them if you think this would resonate with them and help them elevate their performance level, whether that's within themselves, their teams, or their organization. So do that, help me, help a friend, win-win all around, and hey, you look like a great friend at the same time. So just hit that little share button on your app, and then feel free to fire this episode to anyone that you feel would benefit from it. Finally, there's always more. There's always more lessons around being the highest performing leader that you can possibly be, whether that's for yourself, your team, or your organization. So why don't you subscribe? Subscribe to the show via movingforwardleadership.com/subscribe. And until next time, lead, don't boss, and thanks for coming out. Take care now.